people. Well, today I want to talk about, should snakes be out in the wild? Should they be in captivity? Pros, cons, good, bad, all the rest of it. And I know for a lot of people they think that snakes should be out in the wild. They were meant to be out in the wild. Mother Nature made it that they were out in the wild. So who were we as humans to decide to have them in captivity? Now, sure, there's pros for them to be out in the wild. And this is really difficult for me because I have them in captivity. And I've seen the devastation and the disaster of them being out in the wild too, which is what it is. And there is no denying that we as humans have done so much to destroy them, I guess you could say. We have taken their land, their territories from them so many times because we want to build these big estates and make money. And we've not considered not just snakes that live within that community, that territory or that space that you're taking, but other animals as well. But if it's a koala, something along that lines, then people jump up and down. But if it's a snake, they don't. So they get the raw end of the stick. And I say that as a pun too, because they do get the raw end of a stick, a shovel, whatever it is that one might be able to grab to do some damage. So yeah, we're taking more and more and more of the forests, of where they do live, where they do thrive, and they're having to learn to live and thrive within suburbia. And people aren't liking that either. They're complaining, they're running over snakes on the road, which I'm all against, and doing what I can right now to prevent that from happening. But it's more so getting people to understand that you have encroached in on their space. Give a little bit, hey, just understand that they're just doing what they're supposed to do, and you've taken over their space. And that's, snakes have a travel zone. I don't know if people know that, but they have a map in there, an ascent, and they travel the same path often to get to water, to get to their space where they go and hold up when the season gets a bit cooler and they need to brumate, and where they know the females are, and water, all of that stuff. So living out in the wild has become a little bit more dangerous for snakes than once upon a time. And they have a lot to deal with. Parasites, injuries occurred just from their own silly self or from things that us humans do to them. Disease, respiratory infections, all the rest of it is something they deal with all on their own. And they do. Many survive, and you think, how did they survive that injury? They are tough. Tougher than what we think or give them credit for. But not only that, many do die because of injuries and illnesses because, well, we're not there to help them, are we? You could say that, basically. And that's what we do if we have them in captivity. So, predators, my goodness, little ones like this, out of, you know, a litter of, say, 10, 6, maybe 6, 6 little eggs in there. Not that a pony's got eggs in there, but how many of them do you think survive out in the wild? You know, statistically, maybe 2, if lucky, half the clutch. Hey, these little guys really, you know, they're good at hiding. You know, I've got to say that they're really good at hiding and finding little hidey holes. But they still have to come out and eat. They still have to move around. They still have to drink water. So they still have to come out, and it's a risk every time that they do. So, you know, there's lots of predators out there. Foxes, owls, as you'll see in my thumbnail, but it is true. They have to deal with that as well. So, you know, some cons there, I guess. The pros are, well, if they had their territory and lots of space and we left them alone and they would just live a life of doing what they do instinctually, breeding, eating, having all that enrichment in their life that is natural to them, and living fairly long lives, like I said, if we actually left them alone out there in the wild. But we don't interfere too much, and that's not by catching them and keeping them, because we can't do that. That's totally illegal. All our snakes that we have in our care are captive bred, so you know, we're not got wild ones that we're going out in the bush and actually grabbing and bringing home. So, you know, pros in my mind are less than the pros of captivity. In actual fact, you know, in captivity they never go hungry. They never have to think about, is there food, is there no food. They never have to go through a drought where there's no water. They never have to worry about natural disasters or unnatural disasters where people stupidly light fires and so forth. They never have to worry about disease, because we take good care of them and we keep them healthy in the first place. But if they do get sick, we do something about it and we take them to the vet, and we have whatever it is treated for them. We keep them warm by offering them an environment in which they are comfortable, because we have so much information out there now that there is no reason why having snakes in captivity cannot be worthwhile to your snakes, you could say. They live long, healthy lives in captivity and can live up to 20, 25, 30 years of age in captivity. Rarely does a snake out in the wild get to live to that ripe old age. So then we can speak about the conservation. Yes, I'm having a conservation side too. Stop trying to get to my head and my glasses, and a pony will never change. Will never change, no matter how big. Hey, no matter how big you get, right? Dio? But yeah, conservation. I mean, no, none of them are on the endangered list, and there seems to be an abundance of them out there. But that doesn't mean that we just think, well, because of that, we don't need to have them in captivity. You should only really need to do that if, you know, they're starting to dwindle down in numbers. Well, I see it as we've kind of got a jump start on that, should it ever happen. We've already got them established in captivity, we've already got them breeding in captivity, and we've got many people keeping them now in their lives, whether they be from these little ones or to our bigger species, being our blackheads, our womas, our olives, and yes, our coastals, and well, I can say jungle too to that list, with the size of what my Jessie is. So, or Bradley, yes, or I should bring in as an example, I think, on this one. But conservation is really, I'm not going to use that as the quotation of, oh, this is all about conservation, because it isn't. You have to love these animals to have them in your life. You have to really be passionate and care about them to have them in your life. You can't just have them because conservation is important. It's a piece of it, definitely. But I certainly have them because I love them and I enjoy them, and I think they're incredibly amazing. And I kind of have that attitude of, who could fear anything as sweet and as gentle? Can you turn around and face the camera? Thank you. And as gentle and as calm as this little one. And Barney is a reduced pattern children's python. Now there's so many varieties of, and well, there's not many variety species. You know, you've got your stimmies, you've got your spotteds, and you've got your children's. But basically, they come in a variety now. Your reduced patterns, your albinos, your gravels, all sorts within the Antaresia. But our carpet pythons have to be iconic to Australia, I think, or a well-known python within Australia that people know more about, I think, than these other little ones around, even my rough scale Archie. I didn't get my snakes to endeavour to breed or, you know, to keep up, let's get as many of this species in captivity as we can. I just have mine because I enjoy having them in my life and taking what I feel is you know, good care of them. So there are pros and cons to, you know, being in captivity and being out in the wild. What's a con for being in captivity? Well, for some snakes, they don't get the sunshine, they don't get to smell the fresh air, they don't get to feel the grass under their belly, they don't get to go and enjoy some of their natural environment. You know, my snakes do, and maybe not as much as I would like them to. I do hope to eventually build some outdoor enclosures for them to enjoy over the warmer months and put in more natural environment around them. It still will never equate to them being out in the wild and the space that they actually have out in the wild, but I sure do hope to do something like that for them eventually. So I do see captivity as being probably more of a benefit for them in many, many ways than I do seeing them out in the wild. And I know that many are going to disagree, no doubt, with me on that one. But I think they're happy. They're comfortable. They feel safe. They never have a worry at all. So guys, me and Apani are just going to say ciao. Tell me what you think. And don't forget to subscribe. Ciao.